You are officially announcing that you're running for mayor in 2026.
The mayor, not governor, like they've been saying. The mayor of London.
Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thank you, Barrett.
Do you regret running for mayor?
I absolutely do not. This has been a very big challenge for me and my family. Politics in this nation has become nasty across the board. But far as the things that we've accomplished, all the negative publicity that the city's been getting, we've been able to accomplish so many great things. And even in this, there is a silver lining in the negative that's currently happening in London. But there is absolutely no regret for me.
I'm in business in a very small way. You're in business in a very big way. I know how hard business is at my level. And so to get to where you are in business, why would you throw politics into that mix?
My wife says because I'm crazy. Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm more
I've
power
said that
to you.
too 1,000 times.
So a lot of people they don't realize or don't know. But before I got into politics, I actually was retiring out of a lot of my businesses. We kept the real estate portions of it, but and again, my whole goal to come back home and to do something great and try to impact this, not just London, but this region in a positive way. I've taught my kids, and I say this to so many people in London, is, there's more to life than making money, and there's more to life than just saying, hey, that's that guy's successful. Look at the businesses that he's built. I've taught my kids that when we leave this earth, we're going to leave a message, and I wanted mine to be about love, about how that I impacted my community just beyond the business aspect, giving voice to the voiceless. And I feel like we're getting very successful at this.
Because I want to know, I'm from Lincoln County, and this news of London's whole debacle is, at this point, it's national news. The big question I keep hearing is, where did you get your money? You mentioned you had businesses. I would like you to tell us where you got all your money that you have,
Yeah, so a lot of people says, in the transport company, this guy didn't make his money from that trucking company, and they're correct. We have multiple companies. One, the transportation company, but being able to get into the reverse logistics, which is multi companies. It's not just one. It don't focus on just a transport.
But trucking does make a lot of money. It can.
It can. There's the potential there, but
you got more than one.
Well, it's the warehousing, the transportation side of it, so it's multi-factor.
Okay.
And then just investing our money in the real estate and, on the commercial side.
Yeah.
So people just look at the trucking company, and I've seen guys that owns 1 or 2 trucks or even 10 trucks. They'll say, that guy's corrupt. He's hauling drugs because he can't be getting that rich off of a trucking company. They don't really know what they're talking about. Again, it's 6-8 companies that's allowed us to obtain the success that we have. So it's not just one little company.
See, I didn't even know about a trucking company, so that helps me a lot with knowing that. Like, you lead a very private life.
Well,
that's honestly a good and bad thing.
People didn't even know mine and Victoria's names, and believe it or not, we've been down here in Southeast Kentucky donating money and doing things throughout many things that people just didn't know who we were until some politicians up in London made me realize that we need to make a change here. Families shouldn't be restricted to make minimum wage when you can barely survive on it. And so we brought a portion of our company down here, and it was at that time before we had sold out, one of the largest paying companies in this area. And matter of fact, before I retired out of that, we were providing doctor services inside that building to the employees. So we were making a big change.
There's a call to action for common people.
That's it.
What I'd say. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's, I told a brother last night, we went to a church service and it was for drug recovery. That's my most comfortable setting.
This has been my big thing too. I know I messaged you once, and it was just because you all were doing stuff downtown, and there were people that I knew that were recovering addicts or that had just had a really rough past, and they were all being included. And that was one of the first things that I noticed about you. This man includes everybody.
For me, everything, the beatings that I'm taking from the and that's here in Laurel County to people saying whatever they want to say about me. Again, I've gained nothing. I bought no land. I've not done any personal business since I've been in office to keep that away. I give back my salary because every bit of this has been about just loving this area, not just London. I adore London and the city of London, but it's just this entire region. Again, I came from nothing. And me and Victoria was able to build something. And I want everybody to know that you could do the same thing, because I can promise you, if you go to my teachers from Corbin and talk to them, they'll tell you, I didn't think that guy had much of a chance because I wasn't the brightest child in Corbin schools. But even the school system down here, they're great. I love Corbin. And but the message, and the only message we want to send to people is, I don't care who you are, your past or where you come from, you can do it.
Absolutely.
And that's what we've been preaching.
All right, so let's talk about the elephant in the room. So you were recently impeached.
I'm impeached.
So your social media public-facing message was you felt like it was a foregone conclusion, but what did it actually feel like when you heard that vote and that you realized that you were officially impeached?
I'm just going to be honest with you. The whole thing, my heart has broke for our city, for the employees that are concerned, not knowing their futures.
That's a big one too. I know I've had a lot of them message me, like they'll see me say this or that, and they're like, "You're the only person that makes sense." In all of this, we can't say anything because we fear retribution.
Did you feel like it was inevitable, or did you feel like there was a chance?
I knew it was. The public sometimes don't get to see the agenda of other people as plain as you when you're sitting in the box. But I knew what was coming because, they've been saying it. You take Council Lady Kelly Green, she said in a meeting to the fire chief, he will be gone. I mean, this was like early 2025. Stay out of politics. And then you've got them making posts and deleting them on Facebook about, me getting kicked out of office. So how do you say something in early February or January and then don't bring charges of nothing until later in 2025? The agenda was set. And I think Tracy Hanley said it best, too, when she told the Lexington Herald, they reached out to me a week prior to the impeachment and asked me to take the job. Well, folks, that's not a clear, non-biased view when you're coming into the hearing that this is the police officers that arrested and charged me, the judge, the jury, every one of them sitting here.
Executioner. And
the executioner that finally hung me at the end. I knew it was happening because I knew this hearing was over personal belief. Kelly said in the hearing, she said, "You came in like a bull in a china shop."
She said you did?
That I did.
So are they
And he did, but in good ways.
It sounds like they're admitting to having fragile egos.
Yeah, she made it plain in the hearing that this was personal. And it was nothing to do with the charges themselves.
Well, let's talk about at least the one big charge. It was the $5 million mortgage that you took out for the city without council approval.
Clarification, though, I didn't take it out. Tourism, which is SPGE, took it out.
Okay, so that's what happened?
Yes.
So how did you get wrapped up in that charge?
So people has to understand the Tourism Commission.
I don't.
Because before I come into office, tourism had separated from the city. They're a special government entity. They're not really a part of the city council's purview, other than council can recall the restaurant tax. I have no say so on the executive branch, other than appointing a few of the seats.
Who sets their budget?
They do.
So where do they get their budget?
It comes from the restaurant tax.
Okay.
All 100% of the restaurant tax goes straight over to tourism. It funnels through the city. We write them a check, but we don't get to keep any of those funds. So their budget.
They set their own budget?
They do.
Okay.
So you don't dictate any of that?
I don't dictate any of it.
You just write the check. Like at that point, the city just goes, "Here's the money.
Here's
that
the
you asked
restaurant
for."
tax
Yeah.
that was set by ordinance,
So
which
what
was
did they
coming.
buy?
So you guys are aware that Levi Jackson was part of the destruction of the tornado, and we lost all the buildings out there. So this loan, again, tourism even made it aware to us that they wouldn't want to use the entire $5 million. but they were trying to get the structures rebuilt. They had already received funds from the state prior to the tornado. $1 million was awarded. And the state been really great, our senators and our state reps about trying to help get this rebuilt. But a lot of the funds was coming out of the state. But when the tornado happened, they needed a boost to get them back on schedule, and that's what that loan was primarily over. And you can see in the council meeting and those emails exchanged where I had said, absolutely, bring this before council and be very detailed. And we're sitting here.
I remember you saying be very detailed about what you want to do with it.
Yeah.
Something
So if
like
we're sitting in between two attorneys, and when tourism gets up in front of us and they say, hey, no action's needed, we just need the mayor to sign, and we're here to tell you about it. Nobody took no action. No lawyer objected. So I proceeded on, knowing they're a special entity of government inside of our city, which is separated from us.
What gets me is the tornado should have been the thing that brought London together, and in a way it was. But I know they had some of their, out there doing whatever. But that should have been, the unifier for everybody. But instead, they turn around and use it against you.
Night that the tornado happened, I know I didn't see people out on the streets from the council and places. You went and actually got to go and experience it. I watched videos talking about everything going down with the council. I was on Barrett's podcast a few weeks after that because I had to address something. And I want to ask you this because this was something that I seen at least one person believe. And
we need you on the record saying
Absolutely.
I have got to do this.
I know where you're going with this. And I know what justice page it came from, so go ahead.
Did you or do you have any control over a weather or summoning a tornado? Because
believe it or not, I do not. And I'm not a part of the Illuminati.
you heard it here first, okay? I asked the question. I finally got to ask it. This man is not the Tasmanian devil of London.
And that's something I would like to highlight in this podcast, if I could. Randall Weddle is not the first person to be attacked like this in London.
True.
Go
Absolutely.
back to the historical portion of this, and I hope this is something that people will look into.
Me too.
At all the other political people that went to do good and spoke out against a certain group, I'll say, they was superintendents to clerks to whoever.
And this went on for so long.
This is the problem that you run into now when you come into my era is social media. So imagine, several years back, social media wasn't a big thing. They wasn't podcasts. They wasn't TikTok and all these other things. So you've got a lot of factors now that intensify what's happening in London because of social media. Thankfully,
That's
though,
another thing.
It's harder to hide things
It is.
in this day and age. Back in the
But
day, it
it's
was
also
word of mouth in the
easy
paper.
to confuse people, apparently.
Yes.
First, it was that you were an outsider. You weren't from here. And
Yep.
then...
And they showed
it
my
was that
mug
you
shot.
only came back...
Yeah,
oh,
the-
yeah, and that. And someone posted it the other day, and I was like, I wish someone would go back and find your alls from when you were young and never give you a chance to grow or do
Or
any
what
better.
they didn't get a
You was
mug shot
teenager.
for.
And
There's people-
we
Well,
all
I
got
do-
in fights when we were teenagers.
Yeah, like when he said, outsider, they don't know where you got your money. I guess some people assume you came for money. But then it really intensified with the Doug Harless death. So
Yeah. This is a
can
big
we
one.
can we talk about that?
yeah, I can't talk about the case,
Right.
obviously, but we can talk about some parts of it.
Sure.
So,
well-
when that happened, I had a certain somebody on my Facebook, and they made a meme, and it was a picture of you like gambling and saying, "Oh, he didn't care about this. He was out in Nevada." Well, then the story changed to, you riled all these cops up and sent them out there, and I was like, the man wasn't even in the state. Were you in the state? Were you out of state?
To be honest with you, I don't know if I was in state that night. No, I was in state because I got the call, I think about 11:45 that the incident had occurred, and later went and met up with the police chief. I think it might have been around 3 a.m. And
Who called you?
the Jerry Holland, the chief of police at the time, he had called me and told me what had happened. So
Was he freaking out? I mean, did he know? Did he know like this is?
No, I mean, well, at this time of the initial call to me, they didn't really have all the facts. They were just telling me about a shooting,
Okay,
officer involved
that's,
shooting.
That's something that would happen. There was an officer involved shooting. Would they regularly update you on something like that?
Yeah, because they would definitely. But outside of that, again, the mayor is not involved in the city police department and even in the fire. Their daily duties of how they carry these things out. Mm-hmm. They're not going to call you. They don't tell you about warrants. They don't tell you about the fire department bleeding out a fire hydrant. You got other things to be doing and worrying about. So. You're not a part of that. But once it become an officer involved shooting, of course, they made the call to me.
Is that because sometimes that gets picked up by the press? So just so that you're not blindsided?
Usually I feel like the
it wasn't,
chief of police does the talking on whenever that happens, though. That is a weird thing for the mayor to be.
Well, I think that it's blatantly obvious what the other side took, which I had been screaming that's horrible, right? This is not a good situation for either side. Why politicize
That's
it?
what I kept saying. You all are riding in the streets.
Somebody's
you have no clue what
family
happened here. And exactly. So what if
I will say
there was
this,
some
though,
other reason
the
for it?
London
This
City
man's family
Police
don't-
Department has one of the best acting chiefs currently right now, Bobby Day. But these men and women are excellent human beings. They are the most ethical group of people you could ever meet. So,
and they're not
So
part
the
of some
story-
secret society.
No,
They're not some agenda.
They keep pushing that out. Actually, the new mayor has been part of that agenda. She had been pushing out, like she stood up in a January, I think, maybe January or February meeting, and she said, "I'd like to know who the dude was, the big one that came walking up," and they parted the seas and let him walk up through there, insinuating that it was me.
Right. Well, the first thing that the new mayor did is send a letter to KSP saying, "Enough's enough. Tell us what's going on with the Doug Harless case. Give us an update." Can you tell us what you've been doing in the background as far as to get that case moving?
So we did it the non-political way, right? A letter was sent to KSP when she could have simply picked up the phone and did what we've done every week. But you've got to make it look like, again, the political case that it is.
They're trying to say that you've just been sitting back and not doing anything. So you're saying that you've been satisfied with the progress of the case by picking up the
I can't
phone.
make a comment to whether or not I'm satisfied with the way the case is. Because honestly, I've never experienced anything like that.
I mean more of the speed of
as
the
the mayor,
investigation.
I've had a lot of news: interstate shooter, tornado. I mean, it's somebody out of the state at Kentucky
And
YEM
then
told me
every
actually.
time they were right there in the background, like the interstate shooter saying, "You should have done this and you should have done that. You were just up there trying to get all this publicity, and you weren't even the person I saw in the news very much." And then it was, "Well, he told everybody this and he told everybody that."
Yeah, I know, but it was that night was crazy, and I'll never forget that night. But you get a lot of first times in my time. Actually, Kentucky Emergency Management said you're like a wartime mayor now because you've experienced stuff that a lot of mayors will never experience. And I think if you look over the past up to now, even an impeachment, and I hope they give me some kind of credit in this, that during this we have tried to just still keep the servant heart in every bit of our actions. Up to like even the Joe Couch situation, right? That wasn't in city limits, but I had thousands of calls coming in saying, "What's going on?" People were just scared
They
to
were
death,
like trying to hang from the courthouse stairs over this.
No other official was saying anything during this.
Yeah.
I mean, look
No one wanted
back;
to
they were
touch it.
quiet, and so. I finally told Victoria, I said, I've got to say something. I've got to do something because people scared to death.
They are.
And rightfully so they were.
And schools were out.
School-
Kids couldn't go
yeah.
to school. Everybody was terrified, and it
Businesses
was like
were shut
school
down.
was in. They were mad about that. School was out. They were mad about that. It didn't matter whichever way. They were just turning.
And it wasn't going fast enough, and there was all sorts of, like I said about the weather control, there were so many different conspiracies and all that. And I want to say this because I've seen this not just recently with London. I've lived this with personal stuff that's affected my family before. Until all the facts are out, it's probably best to hold y'all's opinions.
Absolutely.
But that's not
right.
Give yourself a
that's
break.
not what we do in society now, though, do we?
Right.
Right?
It's crazy.
So
And
social
the way
media
they
has
treat
intensified
politicians like a
that
thing.
for us.
Voices are
as soon
too
as
loud
somebody
when they
says
don't need to be.
something, people start coming out saying guilty, guilty, guilty. So
Yes.
And
Well, in
here's
this
another
case,
thing I've
there's a
learned in
group-
this: don't be so quick to judge a man unless you've been in that situation. I have been in some situations. There's no training. Am I a good businessman? I'd like to think that I am. but there's no training on how to handle these intense situations. And I'm a mayor of London. I'm not a governor. I don't have this big, huge team around me that is advising me on what to say and what to do.
You don't have a war room.
I don't have a war room.
That's what we were saying earlier. It's like you're in the war room just pushing the buttons.
So-
the
That's
way
what they
acted.
think. That's what people
But they
think.
honestly, governors, presidents, they get all these assets that around them that get to help advise before they speak to the media or speak to somebody. I'm sitting here. One dude came out of the business world, become a mayor, and was a hilljack prior to that. So I'm sitting here doing my very best on all these situations that a lot of mayors have never had to deal with. And, so give me some credit in that.
Absolutely.
Before we move on from the Doug Harless situation, is there anything else that you want to share with us about that before we move on?
I said early on that, and this is something that I hate how the narcissistic people begin to twist lies. I came out very early that I was going to hold everyone responsible if KSP said that there was something done wrong.
Absolutely.
I was going to hold them accountable. Not one time did I say I'm protecting anybody. But that's what's been suggested, and it's not the case. But here's my thing. How do you judge people without facts?
Right.
Our court of law is not set up that way, and I don't think as
For
a
a
mayor that you should not be sitting here saying, I know for a fact because I seen a video on social media.
Absolutely.
It's checks and balances.
And then it's like pieces of a video, pieces of a story. They don't know like how A connects to B, and then people just get scared.
As somebody who is a daughter of an innocent victim of a shooting, that's somebody's life. That's not a political
Absolutely.
gain. Somebody's dad died. Somebody's brother, grandson. That was a human being.
And I've
And
argued this fact on the
that's-
internet forever when that
That's
happened.
what makes me upset about
And
it.
I do want everybody, before we move on out of the Doug Harless situation, I would like for this to be burned in everybody's memory about this. They've said it enough. Where's the warrant? Where is the warrant? And then the political agenda people saying there is not one. All I want to make clear here is if a warrant comes out, what are they going to do with that? Because they're saying that there is no warrant. If there is, I've not seen any of the evidence. I've not seen anything of this case. No one has showed me anything. KSP, which Hanley found out today, yesterday, whenever, that KSP is not going to be at her beck and call either. And, another thing I find disturbing is that people says KSP is corrupt. I don't know. I don't know about that. I have a different opinion of KSP. I think that there's a great men and women in that organization.
I think the same
And
about both.
you can say what you want to about any of them that you would like to, but my experience with them, they're ethical people. And another thing I would like to note, and I would like this to be on the record, I sued a KSP officer before the Harless situation, which it was dismissed. Do you think that they're going to do me a favor? That got lost in this mess. People, the political side that's trying to act like the KSP is going to do Weddle a favor because of this politician or that politician. Out of Post
That's what
11,
I'm
I
trying to say.
sued one of the guys out of there. Go look it up. People blasted me for doing that. The PVA of Laurel County come out and said that is the address that the police went to. What was on the side of the house didn't reflect what was the PVA was registered. So I think that's public. I'm not saying anything.
That's what I said.
But I think that what do you do with that? If the Laurel County PVA says the address that the police said that they were at lined up with what he has, and then people says, well, the address was on the side of this mobile home. I don't know.
Easy to me that they can
And that's
stir
the
this up
part
like
that
this.
I guess why people says that I'm defending what was happened. I'm not defending what's happening. I'm defending the people that I know that they are great people in that that department. And you cannot sit here and say a department is corrupt because of something that we have no facts on, including me as the mayor. I don't have the facts. I've not seen no evidence. So fire this one, fire that one. How?
Based on what?
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you're
and
mad.
still waiting for KSP
what we want.
and for the grand jury, if there is a grand jury, for them to come back, and say, yeah, there was wrongdoing, and then I would have took action.
I've got to say
Absolutely.
something because I seen that the new appointed mayor of London has called to action for everyone to be wanting safety and on the lookout for people who are making their lives not safe. What do you, as, now the impeached mayor, who would you advise people to be on the lookout for? Since there's a target of safety. I want to know from your experience, because I don't think they're going to tell me the same people that you're going to tell me are the
That's
dangerous individuals.
probably-
Yeah.
I'm going to be very careful in how I phrase this, but Weddle has been around here in the public eye for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't even know who he was. I was no threat. Don't you find it odd in 2.5 years I've all of a sudden became this big, huge threat, not knowing hardly anybody?
Yeah.
But then let's turn the table here. What family or group of individuals or whoever you want to put name on this? I'm not putting no names out there because, Lord, I'm going to catch another lawsuit here.
I would,
But
And I'll be on there beside you.
yeah, but when
There
I
are
ran for
victims
office,
everywhere.
the amount of people that was sending me messages through Facebook and the amount of young people that contacted me, came in my campaign office, is what really became my driving force in continuing my campaign. Because at one point, I'm not going to lie to anybody, I was sitting there telling Victoria, I was like, why in the crap do I want to put up with this? But it came back to love. I love this
so
area.
many times. There's no reason this man has done all of this that he shouldn't. And like I told you, I feel like I was watching before everybody else was watching, because I was, noticing like this man is doing all these good things. I've never even known the mayor's name in London until you came along.
Well, here's some factors that's not factoring, because it's a lot of information when you're in government. But I came into office with $700,000 across the city accounts. An ordinance that the council had most recently just brought back, they rescinded when we first came into office because it had a huge impact on the money in the city. This was passed in 2022, and it raised all the pay of all the employees across the city. Well, not every employee was able to get that because it was a pick and choose by an individual. But so I had a major concern of the impact of that ordinance when I come in, and I actually met with a lot of the council members and told them prior to us being sworn in that, this is going to be a major issue. Gave them all a copy and said, we need to look into changing this ordinance because of the potential financial impact. So when we came in the office, council did take action. They rescinded it, but they never did change that at all. Jump forward to today. So this was the same issue of not just what the cost of the body cameras was, at this time the storage of it and everything else. So jump forward today, the city has a surplus of over $4 million. So Weddle's not doing too bad with not just me, but the team that I put around me. They're excellent. And going back to what's happening now, every bit of that is risk because of old time politics that has been happening in London. That needs to stop.
It's the kind of corruption that has to, because of how they did it. And I won't say
Look
any
what
names
they
'cause
did
I'm
to
not trying get
Troy
sued
Rudder
either,
right
but
before I came in office. They were trying to impeach him.
You're impeached. Are you going to fight it?
We're going to appeal it, yes.
You are. And what is the appeals process?
So, again, we'll just have to take it to the circuit court.
Okay. I didn't know what level.
Yeah,
it
it goes to circuit court, and then of course, you get to appeal. If they strike it down or what, you can go to the appellate court and to the Supreme Court
of Kentucky. Are you going to run again?
Oh, yes, I'm running again.
So, does the impeachment affect you running in 2026?
It does not. No.
Okay. So,
and I mean, I'd never met you until today.
Right.
But, I've messaged you over multiple things or whatever. But I just want to make that clear, because it's going to be that I'm, whatever. And I
I'm
didn't have
paying
any
you.
agenda.
That's the big thing. I pay everybody that speaks well about me.
No, right?
I get that too with our real estate stuff.
It feels to me, I want to say this, and I'll say this because this is something from, like I said, somebody who lives nowhere near this, who just so happened to start hanging out with people that are from this area a year ago. And whenever I look at it, like you said, you've been around for a long time, and all of a sudden, flip of a dime, you're this horrible overlord that's just this mastermind.
I think overlord's appropriate.
Yeah, that's what everyone's acting like, and I'm like, it
He's the only
makes
thing
You know,
blocking
the
the
sad
door
part
for
about
so
that, though,
much
is
to
these
me.
same people that call me, say that to me, have no problem with me and Victoria paying their rents.
Yeah.
Or burying their dead.
It seems to
me. The list could go on. It's these same people that are saying this. And to the point, it's got Victoria to where she's even like, I don't even know if I want to do the Christmas thing anymore.
And love her heart.
Alienated
She
completely.
is so
you know,
sweet too.
And you know, she's told me the other day, she said, I think we should just stop everything because the very people we're trying to help are calling you a murderer, saying that you're this and that. And she said, at this point, why do it? So, and she has a valid point. You know, and I told some of our friends here, I said, she has a very valid point. We have done nothing but try to build people up. When you say, show proof how I'm evil, they can't do it.
You come here, you sit down with us. It was my first time meeting you. Mm-hmm. You answered every question I had, even the stupid one about controlling the weather. Yeah. And that right there holds a lot of merit to me, is meeting people, because I would like to see if the council members of the new mayor would be comfortable with people looking into who they are as a person.
They won't.
I mean, we'd have them on.
Yeah, we would invite them on.
Well, then I put a call out to all of them to come down here and sit with you then. Let's see if they do.
I'd love to ask them a
bring
few
them on.
questions.
And can we...
Matter of fact, if you go back and look at the council sessions, people are saying the London City Council meetings are off the hinge, and Jerry Springer, which I love that comment,
Yeah.
and I did go to it and liked it and stuff. But if
Billy's watching behind us.
Yeah, Billy's over there.
If you look at really what's going on and sitting in that room, you know, council outside of that room says these people don't live in London. They're not London people. He's got people, hill jacks, trailer park people. They've made all kinds of rude comments. But the fact is there people come out of maybe Knox County, my family, to support me, or people from Clay County that support me? Yes, there has been some.
Well, you're the man of the people, and like you just said earlier, you don't care if you're rich or poor.
I don't care.
You want to give a voice to all.
Yeah.
I want to know if they hold those same sentiments.
But if you go back to the
holding those
council
same
meeting, a
sentiments.
lot of these people are voters in London, and council members telling them to shut up, shut your mouth.
So there's the $5 million mortgage. There was not posting the ordinances online. And then number 3 was leaving the ethics committee seat vacant. Mm-hmm. So what can you tell me about that? The vacancy.
I think if you watch across the board on all these things, if you watch our council meetings the last 8 to 9 months, it's been debates between lawyers. And then me trying to rein counsel in to abstain from talking or to interject, and while the attorneys were debating facts. You know, again, as an elected official or as the mayor of London, I don't get the opportunity to know all, to have the mind of all knowing the laws and all this stuff. So I rely on the city attorney, and then council this year hired their own attorney as well. So I have 2 attorneys sitting up here, and they're both sitting here debating what the statute is
and what the mechanics are.
Exactly.
I want to say this too, because we live in a smart, dumb society where everyone's got access to information but never actually gets the correct answers, it seems like. What is the job of a mayor? You're not supposed to be a detective, I don't think, or a judge.
Not supposed to be Batman.
And how much?
So my
the
job as the mayor is to carry out the daily duties. I'm the CEO of the city.
Yes.
So if council passes ordinances, it's my job to ensure that they're being enacted and that they are in full place, working on streets, oversight of every portion of your city. Okay. And that's what mayors do across this country, or across this Commonwealth anyway, that, you know, we just run the daily duties of the city. And in the way our state's set up, period, there is a difference in the executive and legislative branches. And the problem you have in London right now is this legislative branch is wanting to be the executive branch.
So why didn't you get that seat filled?
So if you,
No,
it's a good question. Yeah. And I'm not going to run from it.
It's a complicated answer, though.
But it really is, because it came back down to a portion of that ordinance. It said 60 days. The lawyers, we were claiming overreach, because the KRS, you're an attorney, is playing that the executive branch appoints to boards. Okay, something to highlight in this. The statute is very plain that no ordinance, meaning your local laws, shall supersede state law. So that means if the statute says the executive branch appoints to boards, council, because they don't like you, can write in their ordinance, we're going to take this option away from Mayor Weddle. We were objecting to that because statute says I appoint to the boards. So they were trying to take that away from me.
At the local level.
At the local level.
And they were long.
Another instance, that again, as a mayor, you're thinking, I'm coming here to pave streets, help infrastructure. cut some ribbons, and the one day that I'll never forget in my administration is I pull up to the health department because there was a call that there was a young man shot, and I had no interest in going down there, but I wanted to be there for the family because I was a very hands-on mayor, and when I go back, I'm going to be a very hands-on mayor. And I wanted to be there for the family because I'd heard what would happen. And I remember seeing a portion of the body, and it broke me. And that's where that bullying ordinance stood from, because when I started hearing about some of the text messages that was happening prior to this, which I had only heard about the young boy that hung himself off the back of his bedroom door. So when you start hearing these things, if you're human, my God, you want to do everything you can to help the people in your community or hold people accountable. Kids are killing themselves due to bullying, and you people, what do? You table it, then you shut it down.
That's the thing. Like, all this is bullying. So then,
but listen, the reality of this, though, the reality of this is when you're born with a silver spoon and never had to walk a mile of a dirt road or a bumpy road in your life, you don't know what it's like to have to sit there in the darkness, feeling alone. And that's been the whole message of my mayor campaign when I was running to what I'm serving in office. I always said I wanted to be a voice for the voiceless, even if it's going to kill me. I had some kids tell me when about a year serving, they said, Mayor, they're going to wind up killing you. And I said, boys, sometimes there's things in this life worth dying for. And this is it. I'm here. I'm not going to go away.
Because it really does matter that much. And it's for them to be disconnected from it all. These are things like, when you get down to it, that affect all of our families. Like I told you, my family's still there. Yep. And I don't want them to have to go through what we went through.
You are officially announcing that you're running for mayor in 2026.
The mayor, not governor, like they've been saying. The mayor of London.
And
still in London. That was the thing.
Mayor of London.
We'll be here after he's gone. Was how it started to me.
So, so we've talked about the past. We've talked about what's going on presently. Some things that you want to see happen if you're elected governor.
See, you as a part of that justice group putting that out, wasn't you?
So what are some things you'd like to see happen if you were elected mayor?
Honestly, I would like to see what we've been trying to get done, a council that's willing to work and not a part of the good old boy system.
So you're running again.
Yes.
I want to say, if you can't get elected and you could guarantee that nobody that is in that good old boy system can get elected, would you hand that, baton over to somebody if they 110% were going to be someone you thought was non-biased?
Would you fall on your sword, basically?
Yeah, fall on the sword.
Absolutely. See, if I felt like that's the whole point. I mean, even right now, if they had appointed...
So it's not a thirst for power. You genuinely just want to see somebody do good for London.
No, I want to enjoy my grandbabies. I got a 9-year-old son. And trust me, I don't like being in the news every day because the media is very fake news.
You get no peace.
And there's no peace for my family.
Yeah.
And imagine how the general public feels. Well, they've shot at me. They've stalked me. They've done all these things, and there's no justice for my family. So we're not living in peace. You don't see me prancing around London all happy. No, we have to be a little bit reclusive about what we're doing because it could mean my life.
Yeah.
So, but to answer your question, if somebody that was respectable, their heart was in it, I'd back away from it.
And let them have it.
Let them have it.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming to Corbin and for your time.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for
thank you, Whitney.
I was very glad he agreed. I was like, I don't know if he's going to want to do this because it may end up controversial too. But I feel like people need to see that side of you and, put 2 and 2 together, and it helps. I mean, and we talk freely around here, obviously.
All right, I'm going to do our outro.
Billy for sure does.
Yeah, I'd invite, like I said, if anyone on the council wants to come in and get interviewed just like we did today.
Come right on.
I'd love it.
No.
I would love to get that in there.
Absolutely want on.
All right. Well, this has been another episode of the PropertyTales Podcast. Thanks to Mayor Weddle, Tara Padgett, Whitney Hubbard. See you guys next time.